communication, in terms of telephone communication and so on and so forth, which actually lacks in this country, Honorable Kabogo, and particularly pastoral areas, conflict areas, where if we had this communication, maybe it would have helped us to reduce these conflicts. And therefore, they're asking me to ask you and tell them, how much have you traveled out of Kiambu? Number two, what are you going to do should Parliament approve you and the President appoints you? What are you going to do with the Universal Service Fund? That sits in CAK. And that fund is supposed now to do what I'm telling you, making our country reachable in terms of telecommunication. But it's not being used to the best of... There are many Kenyans who cannot call Nairobi now. So, Honorable Kabogo, how much have you traveled out of Kiambu?
Hold, Coach. Just not Honorable Kabogo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Kabogo, our cyberspace has become extremely robust. And I have a totally different view. Many people will probably vilify the young people out there who have different arguments and are doing all sorts of things in that space. But in this very same seat that you are, 4 months ago, I asked the then nominee, who is now out, what she will do, particularly with the space of the many young people, enterprising young people, whose source of employment will have otherwise been in that space. I give you an example. Mulot, for instance, is a small town, but extremely robust in terms of business. That is particularly coming from the cyberspace. So many young people, but many of it borders on criminality. And I posed a question at that time to the CS nominee that what will she do differently to make sure that you can harness the young people there and have a resource in them. She promised that she was actually going to look into it. She was going to probably even build an institute and tap on the knowledge of these young people and onboard them into genuine business and transactions online. Of course, she didn't do it. I really want to peg my hope, assuming that you are approved, and I really want to hear your thoughts. What are your plans to these many young people out there? You look at the communication there on the internet, and you can see frustration. And many people are educated. Can we tap this otherwise unuseful communication on the internet and make a resource out of it, make those people earn their income from that space, and in a way, we will get rid of the negative communication that we have in the cyberspace. What are your thoughts, Honorable Kabogo?
Naisula, take the next Honorable Kabogo.
Thank you, Chairman. And one of my questions was raised by Honorable Pkosing on the issue of ensuring that every part of the country, Kenyans can access telecommunication services as a basic right or need. My question is on the issue of data protection. There's been a conversation in the country about how people are accessing individuals' data. When you talk about people who are to be arrested or to be found and their data is accessible, through the telecommunication providers, it cuts the same way. Members of Parliament here also, their data is plastered all over, and they get kusalimiwa. I would like to get your views on data protection of individuals in the country for everybody, because it's a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways for everybody, and how you're going to ensure that individual data is actually protected. And then the last question is that many Kenyans have suffered financial losses from SIM swap fraud and other electronic money-related scams. If approved, what strategies will the ministry adopt to address, mitigate, and prevent SIM swap fraud and ensure online safety for all consumers?
Yes, can you answer those?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can't remember the name.
Honorable Pkosing.
Pkosing, yes.
I thought all members introduced themselves.
Kabogo, Mr. Speaker, Kabogo is very widely traveled in Kenya. I know every corner of Kenya. I remember holding a harambe in his constituency with one of the ex-former ministers. So I have traveled. At some point when I was younger, Mr. Speaker, I would fly all over the country, so I am conversant with Kenya. And be assured that if I'm confirmed, this digital divide will be a thing of the past. As you have said, USF funds are there available, probably to a tune of 115 million if my research, 115 billion if my research is correct. And we should be able, if you look at the master plan of the ICT department, is to connect Kenya. And I want to be the minister, Mr. Speaker, if confirmed, who connected Kenya 100%. Mr. Speaker, you realize that from TIMS, Kenya government owns 20% of the internet in that cable. And you will find only 2% of that is tapped and utilized by Kenyans and more so government departments.